Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Word for Game podcast. I am joined by my two good buddies here, Carrie, Mike, and Somber. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah,
Nice.
doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely, no problem. And we're so excited to do this because we are pretty much getting out our thoughts about the Grand Festival. We are recording this pretty much a week after the event took place. So by the time this gets out, it would be like well over probably about like maybe a month or two when we're discussing this. But we wanted to let you guys know what our thoughts are about the overall Grand Festival activities, as well as a spoiler cast. Because guess what? Somber finished Splatoon 3 story mode, so we are going to be looking forward to his thoughts and reaction of what he thought about the overall story is about. So we're going to break these up into different categories, and timestamps will be in the description below. So first, we want to just talk about our overall feelings about the Grand Festival event. So not the matches themselves. We're just going to talk about just mainly just the overall venue, some of the activities that went on during the Grand Festival. So I also put out a video about mainly my reaction to the whole, the whole polls and which team won. So first, we want to get Somber's feelings about what did you think about the Grand Festival as a whole?
From the beginning, it was great because you felt like you were in a totally different place. It was just, like you could tell how it was like a setting up event for the main Grand Fest. You could tell it was going to be different later, but even at the beginning, it was just great because they had concerts going nonstop. You could go rotate between the three idol groups, and that in and of itself was just great. It felt like you were just running around just a concert venue, just enjoying yourself. And it was just, I was just in awe from the beginning, from the very beginning where it all updated and you could see everything, like trying to find out where everything was, seeing all the shops. It was just great. I just loved it.
Absolutely. I felt the exact same way because when I first went in, first you get covered in like, different colored ink. So I thought that was a nice little touch that they added too. And also the characters that were in the main hub area, they were kind of covered in some of the ink. And it was really interesting that they brought a lot of like the characters from like story mode, from the cities. They were all here at this venue, so they all came in to participate in the grand festival. And I didn't even know this, but after the fact, because actually I'm still trying to look for her, but there was this Octoling girl. Her name is Act from Side Order. Apparently she was there, but she was kind of hidden. So I'm still trying to find her to see where she's at. But yeah, it was really interesting to see all these characters kind of get together and just commemorate the Grand Festival, seeing the three idol groups kind of rotate, their different songs or whatnot, which we're going to get into a little bit later on. But yeah, it was just mind blowing on, everything that was happening. I wanted to see so much. And, those stalls had all these kind of souvenirs. I was like, man, if they would have done some microtransactions, I wanted those plushies. I wanted those those souvenirs.
Much stuff. I was like, ooh, I want this, I want
Yes.
that, I want this. You need to deliver that to me right now. If they would have opened up the Nintendo store
Yes.
for $5 a piece, oh boy.
Yes, they could have been banking on this. They really could have been banking on this. I mean, they had so many incredible things there, and even like the whole setup to where you can go and watch the idols perform. They had, two stages on each side, and then the main grand stage, which looked amazing. And you really felt like you were going to see like a live like concert. It had like a screen, so there was even though the characters would be performing on stage, they have them in different angles on how they shot their videos and did their songs. It was absolutely incredible. And
Yes,
mhm.
it was better than some real life concerts that I've been to.
You got that right, man. Cause even like the anticipation, even though we were reading it and we were kind of discussing it until it took place, but to actually see it and to actually be in it, it gives you a whole new feeling. Cause it's like even though I read about it, just to experience it and to be here, it was so exciting. And everybody's representing their teams there. They're in their team colors or whatnot, And it was just a really moving experience that I will never forget. Because even Splatoon 2 didn't go this big. It was just pretty much treated as like a normal Splatfest. We got a new stage and a new song, and that was about it. But this one, they went all out, all above and beyond with the Grand Festival. So I was really happy to take a part of that. So those were
It looks like they have choreography and everything too. Just looking at this one of these screenshots, all of the kids are on the stage together, and I see singing, dancing. So it looks like man, this is really impressive. And I see the light show. So yeah, like Zombie said, this is a full blown concert.
exactly.
Okay, hour sitting, spent an hour in that lobby just watching that, watching that concert during the nighttime. I really did.
I
Oh
did too.
my,
I
jumping
did
and
too.
oh,
Exactly. And the thing about it is that I didn't know that they were going to return with so many great songs. I know pretty much a lot of off the hook songs, but even the Squid Sisters, like I only scratched the surface of what Squid Sisters can do because I didn't know some of like their Splatfest songs and what songs they came out with. There was only a short number that I knew. So hearing them, whether it was at the Grand Festival itself or in the battles, was amazing.
it hit me the same way with Off the Hook because we have the different experience where you play Splatoon 2 first and I play Splatoon 1 first. So
Right.
I was versed in the Squid Sisters,
Right.
pretty well off the hook. So I discovered a lot of Off the Hook songs. I was like, oh, I like this. Yes, yes.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get more into that. But yeah, there was like a whole light show of a concert, and yeah, you could just chill in there and just watch the concert. Especially after getting finished with some of those heated battles. That's where I was like, there's times I was like, okay, I need to chill out with some off the hook music. Because it really did calm my nerves. Because they put on a great performance. All the idols did an amazing job. And even when they got to like the half, what was I think it was the halftime point where it was like the night festival where all seven of them got together to sing this grandiose song called Three Wishes. Oh my goodness, that performance! I never would have imagined it to be that good. Like you mentioned, Somber, it was better than most concerts that you see IRL. I mean, in the way that they did it, it's all the choreography. It was very, even though it was very simplistic, you can actually see people doing these kind of moves. It wasn't like they were doing like backflips and cartwheels and anything extravagant. They were very simple moves, just singing. The only part that was probably like unreal will probably be when they transferred to different parts of the stage. They would swim in their own ink and appear in another part of the stage. That was like the only thing. But other than that, it was just a really, really well done concert overall. So, I'm sorry.
Look, that was better. That was better than the. That was better than any other part of Splatoon I had experienced to that point.
Hmm.
Better than any other Splatfest. And I mean, it just made it all. It just made it all worth it.
Absolutely. It's like, um all the previous Splatfest, and like I said, Splatoon 2 didn't even go this big because, when they were coming out with more information and all this other stuff, I'm like, man, how big are they going to make it? Because we've only seen like the Splatfest and, what each idol group can do, but to have them all combined like that, it was definitely a memorable experience that I'll never forget. So I took plenty of screenshots, videos, you name it. So,
I maxed out my hard drive.
right?
It was just so many, so many.
Exactly. So, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about basically our memorable highlights during the Grand Festival. So, stick around for that. So we're back. So we are now going to get into our memorable highlights during the Grand Festival, and I'll start with this one. Mine would have to be the 333 times battle that I won for Team Present. Oh snap, man, Carrie Mike, these battles, they kind of break them up into different, like, I guess not categories. I don't know how to like sum it up, but basically what takes place is that when you're participating in the Splatfest, sometimes you will get these events called 10 times battles, 100 times battles, and there's even one that's higher than that. That's called the 333 times battle. And what that means is that if your team manages to win those battles, you get a truckload of cloud and conch shells, I believe too. So, and they're pretty rare. Well, the 10 times they made them more available during this event, but usually like the 100 times and especially the 333 times, those are very rare to get. And so when those come up, you have to fight pretty much your hardest and everything plus more in order to win those. So I think I was just playing pro, just kind of playing by myself, and this was on stream. This was on stream. I was just playing by myself, and then you would know if you're in one of those kind of battles because a little lightning effect kind of happens. And then I saw it. I'm like, what's going on here? And it said 333 times battle. I was like, oh man, things just got real. And so, I was just marking up the area. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit because I had to rewatch that battle that I was in. But the enemy team, Team Pass, that's who I was going up against. Team Pass, they actually had an advantage over us. We were in danger, and I didn't even realize that. All I know, my mind was just focused on just ink the base, ink the base, ink this part, ink this part.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how many splashes you get. If you do not paint that canvas, it don't matter if you got 20 splats, 100 splats, 200 splats. If you don't mark your area, none of that matters. So I was just focusing on just, trying to avoid the enemy at all the times and just marking up the area. I had a special to launch it to their base because that was my whole thing that I was telling our group was that, why the enemies, they have no problem putting pressure on us. We need to do it to them. They have no problem coming into our base and messing up our territory. We need to do it to them. So that's what I did. I was like, look, I'm tired of cleaning up base. I just got tired of cleaning up base. I'm like, I'm just gonna go in there, wreak havoc at enemy base, and secure a victory. So, but back to the 333 times battle that I won. Yeah, we were in danger, and then once we got to that half point, I don't know, I guess something just kind of just triggered in my brain just to make sure that I just avoid the enemies, don't get into any fights. If I see them, go the other way, just focus on just painting the area, sneak into enemy base, and sure enough, even my teammates kind of pulled together toward the end, and we got that 333 times win. And when you get that, not only do you get a truckload of clout and conch shells, but you can take a pictures with the idols. So that was a neat little feature. So while the idols were performing, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the screenshots that I sent you, that's me and my character. We're taking pictures with the idols while they're performing their song. So it's a very rewarding experience that you get to do. So I remember I was just so overcome with joy that took place because prior to that, Carrie Mike, I was struggling. But even with the struggles that I was enduring, what helped me was having people like Somber and our community to kind of come together and be like, you know what, Mute, we got your back. Whatever you need us, you let us know what you want us to play, so that way we can secure some victories. So, having and I'll mention these two. There's two in particular who pretty much had my back throughout this whole event. Number one was going to be Proto Man, who we haven't seen in a good while, but he made sure he came to this event. He was all like, oh, what were you saying?
Saying he showed up and then showed out.
Absolutely. He and he even felt bad because he said that he was a little rusty because I guess things have been kind of busy on his own end, which I totally understand. So he hasn't had enough time to play some Splatoon. But he came in and just like Somber said, he showed up and he showed out. He really did. He's like, wherever you need me, I'm with you. And so that was one of the people that I wanted to shout out. And another one is Soup. I think Soup, out of everybody, of course I appreciated everybody's help and participation in this event, but I think Soup is like the only one who came to all, gosh, how many, I think I streamed about 25 hours roughly. He came to every single one, whether if he came later on time or he had to leave early or what. Soup, he was always there. Hey, what weapon should I run? What should we do? No matter what mode, whether it was tricolor, turf war, any of those modes, he's like, where you need me at? Hey, let's try this. Hey, maybe we should do this. I couldn't ask for a better duo than Soup and Proto Man. Those two really, really, really took a lot of pressure off of the losing streak that I've been enduring, and they were remarkable teammates. And so, and it was kind of cool how Somber and I, if we had enough people, we can do it where we can have two teams. So we would kind of divide and conquer. So I was the alpha team where I'll have maybe two or three other players on my team. Somber would have two or three on his team, and we would kind of do separate matches to make sure we were getting that cloud in, because that's what we were trying to do, try to rack up that cloud. And so, I think most of the matches that we fought was like Team Pass. It was like Team Pass, Team Future, but one of the things that we'll get into this later, I promise. But the mirror matches, the mirror matches.
Oh,
Mm, I want to go into it, but I'm gonna save that for later. But yeah, but back to the most memorable highlights. Winning that 333 times battle was definitely my highlight. So Somber, do you have a memorable highlight that you like to give a shout out to?
I would say the memorable highlight was the times where we split teams and where we split off, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was watching your match as I'm watching mine. So a lot of times we were see it's team coordination that made us win more than anything.
Right.
Because I was ink like a madman. Every match I was spreading ink like a madman and throwing booyahs into their base.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I had Falcon and Dream.
Yeah.
So what Falcon would do, him and Dream would hold the mid, and then we'd have drinks in the mid. So I'm inking base, and then by that time I can go up and get the drink, and then start throwing booyahs into their base and start infiltrating. It was just great. And then the same thing when you had Soup and Proto Man. Yeah, I think you had Soup, Proto Man, and Mud, right?
I
So
did.
you had three holding the mid, and you were able to just ink base as you needed. Those super trumps in their base, that was the highlight, because we really had a team effort. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was almost like we were a private army.
yeah.
We were invading those other teams. It was great. I loved it.
I'm not saying this just because muted, two, you guys are like two of my favorite people. I'm not saying it just because of that, but Mute's strategy to me is it makes a lot of sense and it's super logical. It's take care of our side first, or take care of our side to make sure, instead of, I've noticed that being too aggressive can kind of come back to bite you. And so if you take care of your home base, and I love Mute's strategy, that's, to me, it's not a surprise that when you guys pull it out or when he wins his matches, because there seems to be a really good strategy that I've seen that not too many other teams, they don't really seem to counter that. They don't really seem to, or do it on their side.
Mm-hmm.
They are focused on aggressive, just coming to get you, but their side of the base, they're not really
And there's
taking care of it.
where that was the difference.
Yeah.
Where
Remember that? Remember that?
see the two things come together, and then it's like you see one base ink, you see one base not ink. Oh, we won.
Yep. 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 Yep.
That ink can go. We won.
Exactly. We had a couple matches like that where we were just getting hard splatted, like hard. Like every time we would come near mid, we would just get splatted by an ambush or something. But then when they tally up the scores, we're like, wait a second, look at their base. You see all those open patches in their base? And then we would come out victorious because we make sure that our home base is covered. We make sure that is covered, and then we can kind of advance forward. So you're definitely on the ball right there, Kerry Mike, where it's like, yeah, you kind of have to take care of your home base first in order to kind of move up. Because, yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter how many splats you get. In the end, if you don't cover your base and cover, the canvas with your ink, you pretty much lose. So that's why I really appreciated, like, Proto Man and Soup, because I would stay in home base on my team and just make sure that's taken care of, because I know Soup and Proto Man, they're going to do what they need to do to halt the enemy's advancement as much as possible. And Soup's really good at just countering the enemies, whether it was with the blasters, the triple splashdown, the I win button. Gosh, that I win button, it just, Oh, but yeah,
So Zomber, what's Zomber's strategy? With Zomber, I know mute strategy, and here I've heard about Proto Man, but when you go into a match, what role or strategy are you using?
Well, it depends on the match, first of all. But generally speaking, I'm going to be inking turf. So I generally concentrate on where the turf needs to be inked the most. So if I need to do base, that's fine. I can ink the mid just fine, and I can ink the other enemy's territory just fine. So it depends on what we need the most. Because if they're over here, I'm inking turf over there. If they come over there, then I go back to the other side and start inking that turf. I just make sure that the turf is mostly our color, no matter where that is, because I'm not gonna take on four people. That's just crazy.
and people
Usually
will.
they're just sitting there, and the four people are sitting in the mid. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll eat this turf, I'll eat that turf, and then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go after I'm done inking base, I'll go into their territory, so that way they have to retreat, and then that way we can advance on them while they're retreating. That's usually how I like to play.
Okay, that's awesome. I can see how it complement. You guys complement each other. So yeah, the matches that I saw, I'll say it once, I say it again. You guys were a well inked machine, not a well oiled machine, well inked machine.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate all of the people who helped us out. For Sombra, it was Dream and Falcon. For me, it was Proto Man and Soup. But everybody as a whole, even if they weren't in the matches with us, when they just came by and chat, say like, hey, I won a 10 times, hey, I won 100 times. And no matter what team that they were on, even though we were like against each other, because some of them were on Team Pass and some of them were on Team Future, I would say, hey, good job, you won 100 times, hey, good job, because I really mean it. Because at the end of the day, even weeks leading up to the grand festival, I was like, I want to make sure that everybody has like a fair chance to pair up with somebody or anything like that. So it didn't matter whether they are on Team Pass or Team Future. Any accomplishments that anybody made in our Discord server, I always acknowledged it. So
Yeah, Octo Boy, wasn't it that one day where he was just winning 10 times and 100 times left and right? I was like, go Octo Boy, go!
Octo Boy, Blue Toad, oh my goodness.
Yep, that's who he is. I forgot about Blue Toad. Blue Toad, I kept seeing his name. It was like Blue Toad, Blue Toad, Blue Toad.
Blue Toad, he was tearing it up. But yeah, they all did a phenomenal job representing their team. So, did you have anything else you wanted to highlight as your most memorable experience?
Just playing. Well, we're talking about more the most memorable
Hmm.
experience. Playing for sure. I guess the second most memorable experience was Tricolor, because me and Monkey Thunder did
Mm.
Tricolor, and I mean we were cleaning up. The first three matches we just mollywalked. We were attackers, and I think we got the. It wasn't quite as fast as you and Soup when you got the ultra
Ultra
signal.
Signal, yes.
We kept getting the ultra signals, and we were attacking. Oh
Hmm.
boy, in house, me and Monkey Thunder, we both had the gold arrow sprays, and we were both getting like 1,600 points of ink every match. Just
Ooh
going
wee.
in. That was a very memorable. That was second only to the playing as a team, because we showed out. We showed out in those tricolor matches.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up. Grand, that what was it called? The Grand Splatlands Bowl as a stage. Carrie Mike, I'm gonna tell you. Normally, when it comes to video games, I'm pretty okay. I will probably say this was probably the first time I actually experienced sensory overload during Tricolor, because what it was, and I was even mentioning this on stream. I kept rubbing my eyes because what's happening is that in Tricolor, that's when pretty much all three teams come together to duke it out. And Somber highlighted the fact that you have to grab these ultra signals, and what it does when you grab the first one, what it would do, it would produce this machine that would just sprinkle your ink, just your ink, and it will automatically do that. And if you grab the second ultra signal, the idols, whichever team you were on, the idols will come out to cheer you on and launch these cannons full of fizz bangs. And fizz bangs are these little circular little bombs that they would just launch into the enemy. So you had the sprinkler going, fizz bangs, and since there was so much color, and it was on a bright stage full of lights. That stage was lit up, and you got a bomb here, fizz bang there, a booyah bomb here, splat bomb, sprinklers. I'm like, there's so
It'll
much
be
color.
like it'll be red this second, then it'll be blue, then it'll be
Yes,
green. Just in the mode of in the blink of an eye. So you throw a booyah, and the whole stage looks like a different color.
exactly. A booyah bomb, triple ink strike. Just it was just a lot of colors just swirling, and I didn't even think about until after the fact that you can kind of turn that off to turn that sensitivity off because I needed it because I'm sitting up here looking at green, purple, orange, or whatever that color was.
Yeah,
It just splashing around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting sensory overload because there's so much
after one of those
color.
matches, I had to just go look at a blank wall
Had
for a
a
while after one. But it like a palate cleanser. I had to like wash my eyes.
Yes, I was like, there is so much color, and like I said, the stage and the way that it was all set up was brilliant. Like I said, it's just me personally, I just got a little sensory overload. I don't know if you had that problem too, Somber, but it was just like color everywhere. Oh.
Totally get
Okay, yeah, it was just man, but overall, I think they did a fantastic job the way that they handled that tricolor. Because normally when you do tricolor, Carrie Mike, the stages that we're on, they're dark. So usually I don't have that problem, but this was at like a stadium, so like that venue that we were talking about earlier, that's where they would have the tricolor out, and so they had like bright lights that you see like all across like at a stadium, and lights coming up from the ground, and it was just color just flying everywhere. And so, overall though, I thought it was cool that they did that, and with the music that we're gonna get into, I thought they did a phenomenal job with that. So yeah, so thank you so much for bringing that up, Somber, because yeah, I did want to bring up the fact that that tricolor was amazing. So we are going to take a quick break, real quick, and what we're going to discuss next is our favorite music from either at the venue or the battle music while we were doing some turf war or tricolor. So stick around for that. All right, we're back. So now we're going to discuss our favorite music from throughout the venue or the battle music, and we'll kind of take turns on this one. So before I get into my number one, number three that I would have to say that I'm so glad to listen to again will be Ebb and Flow at the venue when they did that performance at Ebb and Flow at the venue. It reminded me of the concert that I saw on YouTube where Splatoon, I think they did a concert. I want to say, I think it was over in Sweden or somewhere over there. It was a concert that Off the Hook and Squid Sisters did together, and one of their songs that they did was Ebb and Flow. And it was so interesting to see that the choreography that they did at that concert was transitioned into here at the Grand Festival. So I'm like, oh snap! I got it right here, right in front of me, that they're performing one of my favorite Splatfest songs, Ebb and Flow, right here in front of me. So it was a really nice treat and a nice callback to the concerts that they did when they were on tour, whether if it was in Sweden or Japan. Those countries are really big into Splatoon, so Ebb and Flow would have to be my number three. Somber will be yours.
the number three. I'm gonna go. Okay, so since I only have to pick three, I'm gonna make number three. Probably Rainbow Calamari Incantation.
Oh, okay, okay.
Go
Yes.
because it's a fantastic song. They took the original and they spruced it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
Nice. That is oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Saying that's my number three.
Nice.
Just pick three. I'll pick that one. Just-
Honorable mention to that one. That is such a really creative way to put together songs from three totally different idols with their own unique style and just combine them and to make it this awesome battle music. And it was interesting that whenever whatever team got like the second ultra signal, it would play like their songs in like a remix version. So since we were on Team Present when Off the Hook got their second ultra signal, it would play a remix version of Ebb and Flow. And so it was really really cool how that was done. So I honorable mention to Rainbow Incantation for that one, absolutely. And then my number two will also be Three Wishes. So the new song that came out. There is no other song like that. I mean, and this is just a game. The language that they speak is all, it's all made up, but they did release like English subtitles of what they're saying. So that Three Wishes song, it was so powerful, and to see that being performed at a concert, oh my goodness, it's like, this is in a video game. I didn't have to, this is something that they could have like charged money to go see at a concert, but this is in a video game. And it was just a really, really fantastic performance that was done well by all the idols. It made a lot of references about, the different time periods, talking about the past, seeing how far they came along, the present, all about the here and now, chasing your dreams. When you do it now. And then the future, they're ready to tackle on the future, and they're ready for anything that comes their way. So I would say my second one will definitely be Three Wishes for sure. And so Somber, how about you?
So that would probably be my honorable mention, that Three Wishes. I love that song, and also like the finality of it. It's kind
Hmm.
of like, yeah, we know this is pretty much the it, of so yeah, that would be my honorable mention. But my number two, I'm gonna have to go with Maritime Memory.
Okay, okay.
Cause I had listened to that song and I had forgotten about it. So
Oh.
I heard it. I'm like, yes. And it also helps that you got the concert on YouTube. I probably watched probably about 5 or 6. But yeah, that is my number two. Maritime Memory by Split Sisters. That one, yeah, I quite like that.
Okay. That was my first time hearing that song, and it sounded amazing. I remember while I was doing like my just getting my recordings together, and I was listening to the song. I was like, wow, this is really, where's this song been? It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, off the hook, I know I'm familiar with their music, but the Squid Sisters, like I said, they're adorable. I love their music, all of it is just fantastic. So when I heard that song, I'm like, this is definitely going on my playlist. I love it. And so, now to get to number one, and I think you and I might have the same one. We'll see. I,
Probably do.
we probably do. And I would have to say or at least my favorite number one song that I was so hyped to come into a Splatfest battle is Shark Bites. Oh my gosh, Shark Bites. Carrie Mike, if you, I'll have to send you that song Shark Bites just so that you can hear it. Just so you can hear it. It is so good. And the thing about Shark Bites, I was telling Somber that that's not even like an original Splatfest song. That came from, I want to say, the story mode, and I want to say from the Octo expansion DLC, the story mode in Octo expansion. Because really, the music that I was expecting to come over, I thought it was going to be the same one for Splatoon 2 Final Fest, which is called Fly Octo Fly. Another good song, by the way. I thought that was going to come over. I was not expecting Shark Bites. And I think even when it first played, I even told you guys, I was like, sorry, I'm throwing, but I was turning up the volume just so I could listen to Shark Bites. I was like, I know I'm throwing, sorry. I had to turn it up because, man, I was not expecting that. So yeah, that would have to
Mm.
be my absolute favorite song. And like I said, Carrie, I'm gonna send you that song. And just listen to it.
Yeah, I want to because it's coming up next. I'm not gonna spoil anything or jump into it, but the community, I've been seeing shark bites coming up quite a bit, so I want to listen to it. I gotta hear it.
Absolutely. And so, Somber, what is your number one?
Shark Bites.
Would say that again?
Said my number one is Shark Bites.
Oh.
That had happened. So I only heard it in the context of a match. So it's a little different, because you're in a match, you're not really exactly listening to the music as much. But
Right.
over the course, I kept hearing the song more and more, and I'm like, I really, really like this song. It's really good, and there's just something about the way they put the banjo in there.
Yes,
It's
the banjo.
it's just great.
Yeah, that banjo always gets me.
Yes, that does it for me. That the little addition of the banjo, um, top notch. That's what puts it over the edge for me.
Exactly, and just off the hook, just singing their verses, Pearl rapping and Marina's just sitting up there harmonizing with the song. I'm like, man, it is such a good beat, and like I said, I was not expecting this to be a Splatfest song. That was like, I was like, I'm thinking about some of the other tracks, when the Grand Festival is happening, and I'm thinking like, okay, Shark Bites is probably going to be played at the, the actual venue. I can listen to there, and it'll still be good. It'll still be great, and I would love it. But to be in a battle, oh snap! I'm like, man, I would have never guessed it to be in a battle. And there's a truckload of other songs that we can go on and on and on and on and about. And I do want to give an honorable mention to Smeared Canvas. We got to show Deep Cut some love. Smeared
True.
Canvas was another hit for me as well because I remember they sang that song at the concert. I remember traversing that through story mode like you did. Smeared Canvas is such a great song. I was even hoping that they would add in Hide and Sleek. That's another deep cut song that I like that they did really well. And so, but yeah, I would have to say an honorable mention just to show some love to Deep Cut. Don't worry, we love Deep Cut as well. It would have to be Smeared Canvas because that one, it's like it just kind of has like that bop where it's like it almost feels like you're like going up and down the stairs whenever you're hearing that song.
That's very true. That would be a very good honorable mention because we do still love Deep Cut, but
Absolutely.
Smear Canvas, very good song. Very
Mm-hmm.
very good song.
Absolutely. So yeah, those are some of our favorite musics from either at the venue and the battle music. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take another quick break, and when we come back, we are gonna highlight some of our community's thoughts about the overall experience of the Grand Festival. So stick around for that. All right, welcome back. We are now going to get into some of our community thoughts because I posed the same question to them. So just to kind of give you a context of what I asked them, I told them for those of you who participated at the Splatoon Grand Festival, what did you think of the overall event? What were some of the most memorable highlights for you? Also, what were your favorite songs that was played either at the Grand Festival venue or during battle? And so, Carrie, Mike, why don't you go ahead and read our first answer?
Okay. The first one is, let me see, it's from Octoboy.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. I really hope I do it justice because I like this write up. So Octoboy says, I think probably one of the biggest highlights for me was all the concerts because I have watched recordings of all of the real life concerts and they did such a good job of replicating that experience in the game. I love all the different remix songs and getting to hear a couple of new remixes we haven't heard yet too. And Three Wishes is still one of my new favorite songs. That being said, however, I was caught completely off guard by the first time Blushing Tide and Rainbow Color Incantation played. The fact that they added new songs seemingly out of nowhere before halftime was amazing. And hearing Rainbow Color Incantation for the first time in a tricolor match was something I will never forget. While I am on the subject, the tricolor matches were amazing. I love how much thought and care they put into the stage, and it was perfect for this event. And having the crowd screaming in the background gave me chills. I remember coming out of my first one and being like, things just got real. And I absolutely love the fact that if you got both of the ultra signals, your idol group would come out on stage and start launching fizz bangs. Seriously amazing. And the best part was they didn't have Now or Never, although I would have loved to have had Now or Never 7 by Now or Never 7. They just had an extension of the song that had multiple versions, depending on what team joined the stage. Probably some of the coolest stuff I have seen from Nintendo and honestly gaming in general in a long time. All in all, I will give this event a 10 out of 10 because it absolutely did not miss a beat and did everything perfectly. Even though the Splatfest was 72 hours, it felt like it was here and gone too fast. But that's kind of the message, isn't it? Team Pass won because now it's in the past. And we have these memories to reminisce upon forever.
Yes, thank you so much, Octoboy. Yeah, he written all that out, and I appreciate this answer. He didn't just say I enjoyed it. It wasn't just some nonchalant. Okay, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. He actually put
Right,
some
right.
thought, highlighted some of his favorite memories. He highlighted everything that we didn't even talk about here. But yeah, Blushing Tide. Oh my gosh, Blushing Tide. And what was that other one? Ink Me Up. Those songs. My gosh, I love them. I love them so much. Cause I guess those were Splatfest songs in the first Splatoon. I never played the first one, so I'm pretty sure those were Splatfest songs from that game. But those two songs that he just mentioned, absolutely amazing. I love the fact that he highlighted how about the tricolor matches. Yeah, things did get real during that tricolor matches, and when the idols came out and cheered you on, shooting those fizz bangs, man. And yeah, it was really cool that whichever idol group got to cheer you on, it would do an extension of their song. And I do agree with him. Where it would have been nice to hear Now or Never Seven give like their own rendition of Now or Never. I did like that they kind of went this route of whichever idol group was cheering you on. And yeah, I would even say gaming in general for me too, because it's like Splatoon, at first glance, this was just my thought and why I never got into Splatoon 1. At first glance, it looks like a kid's game. It looks like a 5-year-old just picks up and just splatter, just color around. That's why I was like, I'm not getting involved with this. This looks lame. I'm not doing it. And I think when we had Octoboy here as a guest, I think he even mentioned the same thing too. I think he said hey, it looked like a kid's game. It's whatever. But, a lot of people appreciate Splatoon for what it represents, different styles of music, the clothing, the story that it tells, all of these things really compile it together to make this amazing amazing experience overall. And so I really agree with Octoboy and everything that he just said here. And did you have anything you wanted to add, Somber?
I just enjoy Octoboy's well thought out comment. That
Hmm.
was just, I pretty much agree with everything he said. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, he hit the nail on the head. That's really all I can say about that.
Absolutely. I think he pretty much summed it for
Yeah,
all
it's
of us. Oh, go ahead. Carry my.
right. No, no, I apologize for cutting you off. It's just it made me think of one time someone said, "Don't give me a game to play. Give me a world to live in and explore."
Mhm.
And so that's something that I have come to. It's really engaging to me, and it makes me want to jump on to Splatoon 4 on day one, ground zero, because just listening to all of this, this isn't just a game to jump into, and it's not only a fun game to play, but it's about community involvement. It's going beyond inking up the bases and competition, but it's about music, bringing people together, a healthy, non-toxic community,
Mhm.
and a world and characters to just a world to live in. It's a fully immersive experience. I've heard that. I've never heard of anyone say a concert in a game felt like a concert I should have paid for. So that's pretty profound. So this is making me oh yeah, day one purchase. If it's on the Switch 2, Splatoon 4, even if it costs $100, I'm getting Splatoon 4 because I want to be a part of this community.
Absolutely, and that's what the Grand Festival was here to kind of determine. So we have the results that Team Pass won the Grand Festival. Congratulations, Team Pass. So I'm just interested to see how they're gonna integrate past with Splatoon 4, because that's usually what they do with these final fests, as they call them. Because in Splatoon 1, I think it was like, which idol do you like the most, Callie or Marie? And Marie won that one. And that had a slight impact on Splatoon 2, which I didn't even know about, because they said in Splatoon 2, whichever idol won that Splatfest, it affected the story just a little bit. And so in Splatoon 2, what happened was that since Marie won, she was like the kind of person who was saying, "Hey, we enlisted you in the Splatoon brigade. I'm trying to find Callie. I haven't heard from her in a while. What's going on?" If Callie would have won from Splatoon 1, it would have been her to kind of introduce. And also, spoiler alert for those who haven't played Splatoon 2 story mode, you fight Callie and DJ Octavio at the end, which was really interesting. I was like, oh snap. And so, Marie's trying to, is using the song that she created. She made like a single hit, so she was using her song to convince Callie to come back and, to try to rescue her. And so when the Splatocalypse happened in Splatoon 2, that was the final fest. Which world would you live in? Chaos versus order. And I was on Team Order, and we were outmatched by Team Chaos. Team Chaos mopped the floor with us. And so that's why when Splatoon 3 came out, we live in the Splatlands. Everything's ruled by anarchy. That's why we have anarchy battles. Different things like that. But Order did get a cool DLC, so there is that too. So now that the Final Fest and this one's over, I'm just wondering, what are they gonna do now that Team Pass is won? I know that the Squid Sisters, they usually always play a huge role in the story mode in all these Splatoon games, but I'm just wondering how far in the past are they gonna go? What are they gonna do? Just different things like that. I'm just kind of curious about. And so, with that being said, thank you so much, Octoboy, for that well-written, well-thought-out comment. We really, really do appreciate it. And congratulations, he was on Team Pass, so congratulations for winning. So now we are going to get into our next answer. So, Carrie Mike, read off our second answer.
Okay, this is from Protoman.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'm going to start by agreeing with the fact that Shark Bites is the best song. However, since it was not remixed, I gotta give it to Smeared Canvas. I was floored every time it played during the match. But on to a highlight. Making emotes that sync to the beat was genius. I spent longer than I'd like to admit just attending all of the concerts and all the different venues. I'm so glad that you can access the Grand Festival with Idol Amiibo. All I have to do now is get at least one Idol Amiibo. But honestly, the fact that I was able to participate with a lot of you was the biggest highlight. I was on a bit of a losing streak in the beginning since I was so rusty after not playing the game for so long. But when I teamed up with a few of you on one of the streams and Mute gave a reminder of the most important thing to worry about in Turf War, to Ink, I got my groove back. That and all the positive interactions with all of you made this final Splatfest something I won't forget. I guess that's why Pass won, huh? Oh right, forgot about the rating. This Splatfest was the best one by far, ever. Even though I feel bad for Team Future.
Excellent, Proto Man. I gave him a shout out earlier that he is definitely one of the best teammates duo that I could have ever asked for. So, I really appreciate your input here, Proto Man. And I even mentioned, I was like, we got to show Deep Cut some love. Smeared Canvas, that is definitely a great song. A great song. So I'm so glad that they took all of these songs from different story modes and added them into a Splatfest battle. And not to downplay anything that he said. Trust me, I'm not trying to downplay this by any means. As far as Shark Bites, it is so good that when you listen to it, Carrie Mike, it actually almost sounds like a remix to an original song. So by itself, it is really, really good. But trust me, I definitely value his input here. But yeah, making the emotes, I'm like, why wasn't making the emotes a part of the Splatfest from the beginning? Do you know how many times I wanted to cheer off the hook and wave my hands and sway to their songs? They inputted these emotes here during the Grand Festival, the final one. I was like, why wasn't this implemented in the first place? You know? um,
Totally.
yeah, I was like, they give you four different emotes. So one of them you can sway side to side to like maybe one of their slow songs. Another one you can wave at them, be like, "Hey, look at me!" And then the other one you can cheer. And what was the last one? That's right, that's right. You took that little light stick and you can bop to whatever the songs was. That's right, that's right. And so yeah, I agree that it was genius that they finally allowed you to do that. And it seems apparent that he feels the same way you and I do, Somber, where we got together with the community and we had two different teams, kind of splitting off and dividing and conquer. So I really appreciate the fact that he mentioned that as well too. Yeah, because going on a losing streak, because that's what it was with me in Splatoon 2, and that's why I kind of retired early from Splatoon 2, was because I was on Team Order and we were just getting constantly wrecked on against chaos, constantly, constantly, constantly. So that's what I was telling you, Somber. I was like, imagine you're on this losing streak. Fun game, love the game, all this other stuff, but you are losing. You have no support. Nobody else plays this game. Nobody even knows what Splatoon is. It's just you. It's just literally you against the world. That's how I felt in Splatoon 2 and why I retired early from it. It
Totally understand that. Lord, without a team, this game, because the pro matches, is all or nothing in the pro matches.
right.
Like I was doing fairly well in the pro matches, but when it rings, it starts pouring.
Hmm. And I the thing about it is that a lot of people were on Team Present. I think a lot of people kind of got their Splatoon career started in Splatoon 2. And what I'm also thinking that probably happened was that they played Splatoon 2, got Splatoon 3, they heard about this Final Fest, and then they're all like, "Oh yeah, I played Splatoon 2," but they only got like 50 hours on it.
Some of them are showing up in this Splatfest during the weekend.
Exactly. And so, here it is. They haven't played Splatoon in like over 2 years ever since the game launched. They're like, oh, is this the final one? I'm gonna jump in. And it's like, buddy.
Let on somebody else's team.
Ex-
Don't join
yeah, and that's the thing, Carry Mike. Whenever I would play by myself, for some reason I get the bottom of the barrel teammates. The bottom of the barrel teammates. I was like, where did you crawl out from? Go back to your Xbox or your PlayStation.
That's interesting to hear. I did not realize. So it's not to go out too far off on a tangent, but I didn't realize that Splatoon 3 naturally is almost like it seems like they have made a ton of improvements. It's a totally different game, totally different feel.
Hmm.
Because it's funny what you said. Splatoon 1 looked like a child's game. Splatoon 2 really wasn't that much involvement in the community. So Splatoon 3 is actually a major accomplishment, it sounds like. I thought it was super popular like this, even from Splatoon 1, but it seems like that development team, they have really made some really good changes.
Hmm. And they use this Splatfest as like a way to see where the audience really likes, and that's the thing, like, even though Team Pass won, and this is what I mentioned too in the server, even though Team Pass won, the majority of the votes and the popularity went to Off the Hook from Splatoon 2. That, and even though that was the case, that was also our downfall too, because sometimes you would get into mirror matches and Zero Cloud. It was just stuff like that was, it was wonderful to see that so many people loved Off the Hook, but at the same time it was our downfall too. So yeah, so it's like, even though Team Pass won and they'll probably make like a story or reference surrounding that in Splatoon 4, I'm pretty sure still even Off the Hook is probably going to play a huge role in the next Splatoon game. And so that's what I'm really hoping for too. And so, with that said, thank you so much, Proto Man. And let's see, and I'm trying to think what else. Okay, so yeah, playing with us. Yeah, this was definitely by far the Splatfest ever, the best one. It is any Splatfest that happened previously, whether if it was a Summerfest, Springfest, whatever, it outdid all of those by a large margin. So, I would say this would probably be my favorite one as well too. How about you? You feel the same?
Close. I mean, the only thing the other Splatfest might have had going for them was the ink, like the beach ink, the blue
Yes.
ink, that water. That was about it. But
Right.
other than that, no.
I
That's
agree.
that. Because this,
Absolutely. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
won't care. Like I always said, my favorite Splatfest are ones where you can't blame anybody for joining any team, right? So no matter what team they join, you can't blame them. And this one was perfect for that.
Yeah.
You can't blame anybody for joining any of those teams, and that was what made the difference, I think.
Exactly. Because all the idols are wonderful. And we'll see what Splatoon 4 has to offer. And so, Carrie Mike, why don't you go ahead and read our last comment?
Okay. This one is from Perfect Soup, correct?
Yes.
Perfect Soup, the Perfect Soup. Okay. Perfect Soup says 8.5 out of 10. All my favorite songs was there, and the tricolor stage was fun. Wish we got another custom stage or two.
Absolutely. So, hey, at least he was honest. But yeah, I mean, great songs all around. Tricolor. I definitely kid you not when I say that Soup is definitely a legendary teammate to have because when we did Tricolor, and I was feeling kind of bad because I was going to ask him if he wanted to switch because we would have this plan where what he would do was that he would get closer to the ultra signal and I would launch my special onto the enemy team and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but he was kind of like, and I hate to put it this way, but he was kind of the sacrificial lamb to the slaughter. Because what he had to do was that you're up against what 6 other people. So when he would go out there, I would try to launch my special to make sure they would kind of get out of the way and get away from the ultra signal, so that way Soup would get on it. There was times he did get it, but then there was times he just got splatted over and over and over again. And I was gonna ask him, Soup, if you want me to go out there instead, I'll do it. But he was like, nah, I got this. I got this. You just keep doing what you're doing. He's like, but do you think you can change your special to the Booyah Bomb instead? I was like, yeah, I got you. So I switched my weapons and we did a Booyah Bomb, and I think I switched to another weapon to where we get the triple ink strikes. That's the that's the special I told you. It just splashes all this color everywhere. And I'm like, oh my god. And so we did that, and we were able to get a hold of the ultra signal quite a few times, and Off the Hook came out and cheering, and Soup, he was so daring. He would go to the other side of the map where the other team was at and would ink their base. I'm like, dude, like I would like go back into the replays because you can go back into the replays and you can see how the other players are playing, whether they're on your team or on the enemy's team. So I was looking at him. I was like, he is deep in there and he's not even getting splatted. He's still taking out people. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is a legend, a legend.
Oh yeah, that's how it played with Soup. There was some matches where we were playing together. I think it was just me, you, Soup. Probably some of the ones where we had the other person, Big Al.
Big Al. Big Al, where
Just
are you? Big...
he was just in their base, just chilling. And I'm like, fine, I'll just sit here ink in the mid. Like what I would do sometimes is when I knew that we were in an advantage,
Mhm.
I would just ink territory. I would stop them from advancing, and I wouldn't push any further. I would just stay where we're at, and just keep inking turf. I would just turn back whatever they sent our way,
Mm.
and that seemed to work out pretty good.
Exactly. So that's why I told Sue. I was like, hey, you go out there and do what you need to do. I was like, we'll take care of base and everything. If you can just kind of just distract the enemy, we'll take care of inking up the base. Because he did it, and he would even ask like, what weapon should I play? What special should I use? He would always get our inputs, and he would even make a few suggestions. And I was and it worked. Sometimes we did go up against some teams that were big old tryhards. we did, and Also, like going back to what Proto Man said about feeling bad for Team Future. Yeah, if I was on Team Future, I would be pretty salty because during the whole polls that took place, like like sneak peek and votes went to Off the Hook and Team Present, and Team Pass won everything, and that's what the game modes. That's the one that matters the most. Team Future got zero, no points. I was like, dude, they got nothing. Say that again, Somber.
And they got oops egg.
Oh.
That's rough.
Exactly. Because I was like, man, I was like, if I was on Team Future, I'd probably feel the same way as I did in Splatoon 2. Very salty, done with the game. But we went up against some really good players from Team Future, as a matter of fact. So I thought that they would at least get some points, but no, they got zero. I was like, oh snap. And also, this this isn't to throw shade to anybody who's fans of this character, but I know a lot of people are not a fan of Fry, so I think she might have had she might have had a small role to play in. You know, those of you who are fans of Fry, is not to throw shade on you. It's just that unfortunately, there's a majority of audience who don't really appreciate Fry as much as anybody else. Because I'm like, man, that's the thing. Because I was like, this is another Splatfest that Fry lost.
Seems to be the trend.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we do love Deep Cut, Big Man. I'm all for Team Big Man, but I was like, sorry, Big Man, you're my enemy during this event.
Exactly. I don't have anything against Deep Cut, but sorry, you joined the wrong team.
Exactly. And so, yeah, so that was what our little community had to say about the Grand Festival. So thank you guys so much for submitting your answers. This was really great. Now that the Grand Festival kind of settled, it was nice to kind of reflect on what everybody thought now that it has all like sunk in, and we can move forward and to look forward to Splatoon 4 when it comes out on the next Switch. So when we come back, we're going to take a small break real quick. And when we come back, we are going to get into our spoiler cast. And we're going to find out what Somber's feelings are about the story as a whole. So stick around for that. All right, welcome back. We are now getting into our spoiler cast, where Somber has completed story mode for Splatoon 3. I know the game's been out for over 2 years now, but hey, it's it's now or never. And so now we are going to get into some discussions about the story as a whole. So Somber, what did you think of the story overall in Splatoon 3?
So overall, I thought it was very enjoyable, and I mean that I generally play single player games,
Mm-hmm.
so that's just my forte, and so that was top notch, I'd say, because it lets you get used to just about every weapon. So a lot of stages let you choose between three weapons, and um, sometimes the recommended weapon is not the one that works the best for me. But yeah, that was one of my favorite things. I think being able to choose between all the weapons, because I mean, some matches, like for instance, some stages where you're on the rails, for instance, and you get to choose between the Hydra and the sniper rifle.
Mm.
I recommend the sniper rifle, and I generally don't mind the sniper rifle, but the Hydra gives you so many more options. So that just an example. That's one thing that really stood out to me, letting you get used to all the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that, and of course I like hanging with Callie and Marie all the time. That's always great. Uh, and the stages were awesome. Like it really ramps in difficulty. Like
Oh yeah.
it's not easy at all. Like in the beginning, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna get you used to it a little bit, just move you. And then it's like, okay, now we dropping the hammer.
Yes.
If they drop the hammer, I mean, those stages are tough, and I mean, it's great. Like the one where you're Spider-Man, you're hanging, you know,
Yes.
Zipcaster, zoom, zoom, zoom. Oh, it's just great. Just they show you the ins and outs of the game really well,
Mhm.
and also like getting not used to getting to know Deep Cut because you get to interact with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You
that's
you you could
pretty
say you
great.
could say what it is. It's a spoiler cast.
It's pretty fun when you get to battle them and get to see what they can do. It's pretty great. I mean, that's just yeah, yeah. Big Man was the toughest one, but
Oh
yes,
God, yes, yes. It brought me back to my Mario Sunshine nightmares. Do you remember that? Do you remember?
that's exactly that's a good point.
It,
Man, when
it
you see
reminded me of
all
Mario Sunshine, didn't it?
sure did, cause man, that dude was tough. I mean, now I'm not gonna say that Fry and Sugar weren't tough. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that was, those sharks that Sugar was boy that, but that was raised that big man. That was a tough battle. I mean, I had to give that one everything I had. That one was tough, and yeah, like I said, it was cool getting to know them,
Mm-hmm.
and working your way towards the final battle with Mr. Grizz. That
Mm-hmm.
that one was also tough. Like it was just like the story mode. It's like it wraps you into it. It's like okay, yeah, we getting you into this battle a little bit, and now it's like okay, now we turn the difficulty up. Let's go, and it's like oh boy, because he'll keep knocking you back,
Yes.
and you have to get him before the stage started rotating, and I didn't learn that until too late.
I had the same problem.
Yeah, so man, that one was tough, and it was fun too.
It
It was
was.
both tough and fun, and that's how I like it. It was just yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so Carrie Mike, when I was mentioning that Mario Sunshine reference, I don't know how far you got into Mario Sunshine, but I don't know if you remember this. There was one stage in particular, you were at a beach, and there was like this like slimy, like I want to say it was like a slimy manta ray, and when you shoot your
Oh,
water at it, oh, you know where I'm going with this, right?
yeah.
Well, that's a boss battle in Splatoon 3 story mode. First off, you're fighting against the idol group Deep Cut. It's like, wait, hold up. Usually the idols help the player out, but this idol group, they're bandits and they're trying to kill you. And yeah,
Oh goodness.
yeah, and Somber, if I'm not mistaken, I think even Fry says, "Yeah, we're gonna kill you dead." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa,
What?
whoa!"
We are talking about Splatoon here, right?
Yeah, Splatoon, even though it's very vibrant and colorful, it does have some very dark tones. It really, really does. Cause Fry, who we were talking about earlier, she was like, yeah, she's like, oh, you gonna come into our town? Well, we're just gonna kill you dead. I was like, excuse me, excuse
Right.
me. And so
Take the curve.
yeah, and so one of the idols who is one of my favorites on Deep Cut, his name is Big Man, and so he's a giant manta ray, and so when you fight him, it's just like that Mario Sunshine stage with that giant slimy manta ray, and every time you shoot him, he breaks into millions of pieces. And when Big Man when he breaks up, he throws splat bombs. He's covering the whole area with his ink. He throws all these specials. It's like my goodness, and you have to try to find him, and it's like literally trying to find a needle in a haystack. Cause I'm like, where is he? Where is he?
Right. And then you have to find them within a certain time frame too.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, you had to find him within a certain time frame. There was times I think he was like, let's see, well, other than Fry, because I was like, he was definitely one of the bosses who got me down to my last life until I finally took him out. Because I was like, dude, Big Man is rough. Now I see why he's called Big Man. Golly.
Right?
And
Now, I
mhm.
love
Exactly. And so, yeah. And the interesting thing about the story mode in Splatoon 3, and this is what I also found out in Side Order as well too, is that the story was written by Monolith Soft, the same creators from the Xenoblade Chronicles games. So it says a lot about how well written their story was. Because I was like, oh wow, they got Monolith Soft to write this story. Wow. And it's just one of those stories that's like, it just the Monolith Soft is real good at throwing curveballs. When you think a story is going to go a certain way, they know how to throw a wicked curveball. Because, like I said, and we're going to get into our surprising moments. But yeah, I was not expecting to fight the idol group who we always see at the very beginning of the game. I was like, I didn't know that they were going to be our enemies. What? It was just, it just threw like a wicked curveball that they were legit bosses, and then they were serious, like, no, we are going to kill you. I was like, okay, all right, I guess we're doing this then. So now that we got your feelings about the story as a whole, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to get into our surprising moments that we found throughout the story mode. So stick around for that. All right, so now it's time to get into our surprising moments. And since Somber, you're the one who finished the story more recently, why don't you give us some of your surprising moments that you found in story mode?
Okay, so one of the more surprising moments was with the rocket. So I knew that we were going to eventually make it to the rocket, but what I couldn't figure out was what was going to happen when we got to the rocket. That's
Mm.
what I figured out. So I was like, okay, I'm thinking maybe we'll go. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't know where we're gonna go. But then, so we go into space and we meet Mr. Grizz. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. It's time for it. Cause I was like, are we gonna fight Octavio again? Are we gonna fight the idols together? Is Deep Cup gonna have some kind of come together moment type stuff?
I
And
thought the
then
same thing too.
like, oh boy, here we go. And and he took it to us. That was the more surprising moment. Like, what was actually going to happen with her? Because it seemed apparent from the beginning that we were going to go to the rocket, um, and that was yeah, um, that was one of the more fantastic things. And along with that, one of the things I really liked about it too was those balloon mini games.
Oh yes,
That was actually quite fun.
yes,
There was It still haunts me to this day. The ones on ice,
yes.
because I get so close. I would get so close and then fail. I was like, oh man. But yeah, so I really like those battles. I mean the balloon mini games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you weren't really getting that much for it, but it was still just fun. I mean, I love sliding on the ice and trying to figure out how to get to those little strange little sections of eyes where it would be like in the corner and you kind of had to jump into an angle some kind of weird way to get to it.
Yep.
That was really fun. That was really fun. The ice part of it, because that 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 was very very fun and very very surprising that it was as difficult as it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Golly, because yeah, I remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I skipped it. I don't even think I went back and finished it. I know I could, but I was like, you know what? I got better things to do. Because it was so hard. Oh my goodness, I do know what you're talking about, though, man. And that was interesting what you mentioned about the rocket and everything, because I was like, yeah, I was like, what are we gonna do with this rocket? I thought the same thing too. I thought deep cut, and that's what I was telling you, Carrie Mike, Monolith Soft, they think they have you thinking it's gonna go this way, but it goes a whole nother route. And so yeah, I thought deep cut were gonna come together in this battle mech and just try to try to destroy you or something. But yeah, it was Mr. Grizz and his story. So yeah, I can definitely see how that could be a very surprising moment on your end. For me, though, it will have to be what happened to Cuttlefish. Oh my gosh. Okay, so to give you some context, Carrie, my Cuttlefish, hmm. he's not an inkling or an octoling. I guess, and he's not even human. I don't know what he is. I have to do some exploring on that. But basically, well, for now, we'll just say he's basically a little person. So he used to be a captain before, but in Splatoon 3, the previous agent from the last Splatoon game is now the captain. So now he should, instead of him being called Captain Cuttlefish, he's just called Cuttlefish. And so what happens is that during your adventures, he gets kidnapped. We don't know by who. We just know he got kidnapped, and we're getting like these radio wave signals of where he could possibly be. But those radio signals actually led us to the idols Deep Cut, and you will do a boss battle with them. And so what happened to Cuttlefish is that he gets kidnapped, and you're going through the stage, right? And something happens to him because he's sitting up there telling you what's going on with him, and then all of a sudden he's like screaming and panicking. He's like, "No, no, stay back!" And then line just gets cut off, and you're like, "Oh gosh, what happened?" So Callie and Marie are like, "Oh my goodness, what happened to Cuttlefish?" So finally we get to where we're about to get on the rocket or whatnot, and we get there, and Captain Cuttlefish, I should have sent you a snapshot of it, but Captain Cuttlefish, he turned into, I don't even know what that was. He turned into like this little like triangle jellyfish. He was like skinny. All you saw was like these giant eyeballs. He's real skinny. Has like little tentacles. I was like, they I guess Mr. Grizz, he must have dried him out. He dehydrated him out because he shriveled up into this little imp.
Was calling it permanent split form.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he got dehydrated, dried him all up, and so Agent 3, or I'm sorry, the captain. I keep calling her Agent 3. The captain picked up Cuttlefish, and she started to cry, and it's one of those moments. One teardrop lands on him, and he turns out okay, but he's still stuck in that little imp form. So I was like, he's okay, he's okay. And so that was a surprising moment because that was, like I was telling Terry Mike, I was like, that was pretty dark what happened because it's like Mr. Grizz pretty much drained all of the water that was in his body. It just shriveled up into like this skinny paper thin little squid form, permanent squid form thing. I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, that whole thing with Mr. Grizz was pretty chaotic as well. But yeah, for me, the surprising moment would have to be what happened to Cuttlefish. Cause I was like, oh my goodness. Because Cuttlefish is another one who joins you, or yeah, he kind of joins you and kind of gives you like your objective throughout story modes in previous Splatoon games. Here it was mainly focused around the Squid Sisters and the new captain. And Cuttlefish, he just got captured, so I think pretty much Cuttlefish is pretty much dead. He's not dead, but he's pretty much done at this point. So we'll see what Splatoon 4 has in store for us when it comes to their story mode. But yeah, so any others that you wanted to highlight, Somber?
Prizes.
Mm-hmm.
Just some of the stages where you think it's going to be a certain way and it's a different one.
Right.
I'm trying to think of that one stage where you have to build the blocks.
Oh yes.
On the left, and you have to build the blocks on the right, and I mean it's like down to the T. You know what I mean? Because it's like.
Oh my goodness.
That one was very, very, very interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, they really did have some really unique stages. And then I'm pretty sure, yeah, you got to the Golden Kettle, right?
Yes.
Oh gosh, that one.
I'll turn.
Oh
That
my
one.
goodness.
Oh goodness. Boy. That's what I mean. They give you the little hook, and then they just okay, yeah, and then it's like okay, difficult. Crank up that difficulty.
Yes.
Okay, I see how we're gonna do this.
Yeah, that Golden Kettle, it still haunts me because I'm like, my goodness. First off, that stage is massive. It feels like it takes forever for you to at least reach one checkpoint because there was times I was going and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm coasting along, and I was like, okay, I died. I've reached a checkpoint, right? Nope. I gotta start that whole thing all over again. I was like, I didn't reach a checkpoint. And
Exactly.
yeah,
You'll be thinking the third part like, okay, I'm gonna make it through this part. I'm gonna make it, and then you don't even get there.
Yeah, exactly.
You get splattered before you even get there. You're like,
That part with the poles, where you have to jump from pole to pole, and then jump on the grind rail and do all this other crazy nonsense. Oh my
yeah.
goodness, it was a mess. But other than that, I still enjoyed it overall. And so, yeah, that was our surprising moments in the story mode. So now for our final one, we're gonna comment who we feel our best character interaction was in story mode. So stick around for that. So we have finally reached our final part of the segment, which we are going to talk about who we find the best character was, and it could be any character that we encountered throughout our story mode. So Somber, who was yours?
um, favorite character interaction, it have to be Callie.
Okay.
Just because she helps you. She helps you all the time, and so she'll pop up and she'll be like, "Hey, got this for you. Let's do it." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Yeah, that was my favorite. Just because she helped you.
Okay.
Marie gave sound advice, and I got no problems with that. But Callie actually literally helped you, so I just rolled Callie on that one.
That is true. Yeah, I loved it when she was like, "Hey, I got you some power eggs." It was always a nice little surprise, especially when I would be shy just of what was required. I was like, "Oh, this is just what I needed." Didn't have to do a
That's
stage.
how it happened to me too.
Yeah. So that way you didn't have to do a whole like crazy stage in order to get the power eggs that you need in order to progress. So yeah, Callie did help out in most of those spots. For me, I will have to say Mr. Grizz himself. His his lines, oh my goodness. That's why I wanted to make Mr. Grizz our CEO of our Work for Games server. Because everything he said, I mean, it was all work related. My favorite line that he said was, it was when you defeat him, when you beat him, he was all, he pretty much says, "Oh, I lost," and he kind of looks kind of sad or whatever. He was like, "Well, I guess it's the end. But just so you know, you will not be compensated with severance pay."
Isn't that the main antagonist of the game?
He is. Yeah, surprising he is, because the thing about it is that in one of the modes in Splatoon, I would say Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, it's called Grizzco Industries, where you pretty much do like these shifts called salmon runs, where you're trying to collect these eggs to put into a basket, and you got to make a certain quota. And along the way, is that you fight these little boss salmonids, um, and it's these are just AI enemies, so you're not going up against another team. You actually have teammates who are working with you to accomplish the same goal. And Mr. Grizz is the one who oversees the Grizzco Industries and who's running it. So the whole story premise behind this is that what I learned was that Mr. Grizz was pretty much the last of his kind, and all he wanted was to bring his kind back. So that's why whenever you fought the enemies in story mode, the enemies would be covered in fur. We didn't know why they were covered in like this hairy fur. We were just trying to find out the mystery behind it. So come to find out, it was Mr. Grizz. He turned all these creatures furry because he's trying to restore his mammalians back. It's called Return of the Mammalians. And so that's all it was. It's one of those things where it's like it's like he's not a bad guy, he's just misunderstood.
You just
It's
feel that with proud.
exactly. And so and
He's
so
a company man.
he's all business. He's like value. So when you meet up with him in story mode, he's like valuable employee. Your feedback has been taken into account. However, it will not be implemented at this time. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm at work.
All right.
And then he was all like, okay, I see that you're hard at work, but it's time for you to go on a break, which means I'm going to break you. And so it was just different things like that. Oh, somber, Carrie Mike. Okay, I lost you guys for a second. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just little stuff like that he was said. I was like, this was definitely my favorite character right here because he would just say just work related stuff, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm like literally on the clock. And I will give an honorable mention to Small Fry. Some of those maps that I had to do throughout the course of story mode, I couldn't have done without Small Fry. Small Fry is basically like he's like your little companion that travels with you during your story mode, and he'll find like little hidden treasures on the ground. So what he'll do is that you'll see like an exclamation point go over his head, and he'll go to the area and he'll start glowing. He's like, hey, which means, hey, ink right here, and it might be some treasure, it might be some decorations, it might be more power eggs. So definitely honorable mention to Small Fry. And even stages. I think there was even a couple stages where you had no weapons. You just had to use Small Fry.
Oh, oh, those were the stages.
Yes, those were actually probably my favorite stages. Is just using only Small Fry.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
And just like any other like story with RPGs, you can upgrade your equipment. You can even upgrade Small Fry, so you can make them more powerful, give them more health, um, different things like that. So you can upgrade your equipment and just various little things like that too. So uh, I, I'll always be a fan of Small Fry. So
Okay, cool. This makes me want to. Oh boy, I'm so late to the game. But no pun intended. I'm late to the game here. But this, even with spoilers, I am still intrigued by this game. I want to play this game.
it's a good single player experience. And like I said, if you're not into like the PvP aspect of it, there's different modes. So you can do like salmon run, which I just mentioned, where you're on a team of group of players and you guys are just hounding down AI enemies and bosses together and to fulfill a quota. There's also table turf battle, which I still need to experiment with that one. That was something new that they introduced in Splatoon, which is basically turf war but with cards. So you would get like a specific cards and they would have like a specific shape. And you what you want to do is that you want to cover the area with your card or your ink or whatnot with that. And then there's story mode. Then there's the DLC side order, which Somber. If you want to hear some more off the hook music, play some side order. Play some
Yeah,
side order.
it's coming. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, and we'll bring you back to see how you felt about side order because I was like, my goodness, side order because off the hook play a huge role in that one. They certainly did, and that's why when we did that one Splatfest where it's like, okay, Doomsday's coming, what would you do? Would you just do absolutely nothing, bucket list, or save the day? I was like, I chose save the day because off the hook, they were there. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for today, though. So, yeah, thank you so much, Somber, for your input on your story mode, and we look forward to bringing you back to whenever you get done with side order. Love to hear your thoughts about that. And we also want to especially thank Carrie Mike for joining us. We wanted to have you on to kind of put a little whisper in your ear about some of the craziness that happened to us during our Splatoon adventures, Grand Festival. So we are really happy to have you on board for this, and we'll have you back again when we do another spoiler cast. Because ideally would like to do it for Echoes of Wisdom because that's coming out pretty soon. So I think
Yeah,
Somber, you're going to be
yeah.
picking that up too. So yeah,
Yes.
we
Thank you so much, me, for all of the content. A lot of us do not realize what goes on behind the scenes and even though you may have a stream that is 2, 3, 4 hours, there is a whole lot of work that goes into the content that we're just watching. It's almost like tip of the iceberg. We're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot. So thank you so much, Mute, for all the hard work that you put into it and delivering us nice quality content. We appreciate it.
thank you so much. Yep. And those of you who are watching, if you have any other thoughts that you would like to contribute as to what you thought of the Grand Festival overall, or even story mode in Splatoon 3, let us know in the comment section, because we would love to hear your thoughts about how you guys felt, whether if you were on Team Past, Team Future, or whatnot, or if you've just started the story mode for yourself, or still trying to, find and navigate your way through Splatoon. We love to hear that. So, Carrie, Mike, Somber, thank you guys so much. We are going to go ahead and clock out on this podcast, and we'll see you guys next month for the next one. Later.